Let the truth be known, no ship is unsinkable. The bigger the ship, the easier it is to sink her. Thomas Andrews, master builder of the Titanic. There are many theories about why the Titanic sank. However, today I'm going to wipe those theories away as I present to you the facts about the structural failures of the ship. Having immersed myself in the creation of the Titanic, it seems impossible the ship was going to succeed on her first voyage. Unsinkable and invincible, how is that possible when weak rivets were used and poor quality steel and an even poorer design? Let's go over the poor quality of the materials used. The poor materials used was made more evident when the wreckage was discovered in 1985. There was a material shortage going on at the height of the time the Titanic was being built, making finding quality rivets very difficult and resulted in the builders using companies they didn't normally use. Harland and Wolff, the Belfast company building the Titanic, also faced a shortage in skilled riveters. It took great skill to be done properly. Archives from board meetings showed it was talked about many times. Once, specifically on October 28, 1911, Lord William Parry, the company chairman, expressed much concern over the lack of riveters and called for a break in work to look for more skilled riveters. 48 rivets were discovered from the wreckage and tested by materials scientist expert Jennifer Hooper. Almost all of the rivets were found to be riddled with high concentrations of slag. Slag is a glassy residue of smelting. This would have made the rivets brittle and extremely prone to fracture. During a 1991 expedition down to the wreckage, a piece of hull steel was recovered, examined, and tested. During examination, it was noted the edges were jagged and sharp, as if showing it had been shattered like a piece of china. The steel showed no evidence of bending or deformation. High-quality ship steel is more ductile and would bend rather than break. High sulfur content, magnesium, and the combination of freezing water temperatures significantly increase the brittleness in the steel. Moving on to the design of the Titanic. The 16 watertight chambers along the bottom of the ship were not technically watertight. The chambers were watertight horizontally but open on the top, so when the front of the ship began to pitch forward due to the weight of the water began to spill over the top into other chambers. Had those chambers been designed to fully close or made just a few feet taller, the water would have been better contained in the damaged chambers. It is believed these watertight chambers greatly contributed to the sinking. By keeping the water in the bow of the ship, that weight pulled the Titanic down much faster. The Titanic was designed to carry 64 lifeboats, but only 16 lifeboats were on board. Had every one of those 16 lifeboats been filled to capacity, it would have accommodated only 53% of the passengers on board the Titanic. The White Star Line Company stated they never envisioned in their unsinkable ship that they would need all 64 lifeboats. Due to this oversight and modification in design, regulations and policies would change completely. Passenger liner ships would have to have enough lifeboats for all passengers and crew, including at least 2 motorboats. April 14th, 1912. At 11:40 p.m., the Titanic sideswipes an iceberg, damaging 300 feet of hull steel. Due to the steel used and the freezing temperatures, the steel shatters away, leaving 6 long gashes straight through the hull of the ship. The rivets have either completely broken apart or the heads popped off from the high concentration of slag. By midnight, the watertight chambers are closed but spilling over the top into other chambers, causing the bow to be heavier and heavier. 12:15 a.m., lifeboats are starting to get sent out, not filled to capacity. Survivors recall realizing at this time that there wasn't going to be enough lifeboats for all the passengers. 2:10 a.m., the Titanic begins to tilt due to the weight in the bow, and the steel begins to rip apart in the middle. 2:18 a.m., the ship is now in 2 pieces, with the bow weighing 16,000 tons. Just 2 minutes later, both pieces have slipped below the surface and out of sight. By 2:56 a.m., both pieces have hit the ocean floor just 3 short hours after hitting the iceberg. White Star Line wanted to pave the way in making the biggest and fastest passenger liner ship. but with only glory in mind, they cut corners in the building of this ship. If White Star Line was more focused on making a quality ship rather than the biggest and the best, then one of the biggest tragedies in the world could have been avoided. After all the evidence presented, there should be no question the Titanic sunk due completely to structural failures and a poor design. The impossible is possible, the invincible can be broken, and no ship is unsinkable.